everyone. We are the Youth Ambassadors. The Youth Ambassadors are a group of teen and tween leaders at the Heckscher Museum of Art. Today, we are going to be doing a behind the scenes at the museum, and we will be interviewing museum's exhibition manager and registrar, Kerrilyn Blee. We hope that you learn a lot and have fun watching our video.
Hi, I'm Sylvie and I'm in 8th grade. What does an exhibition manager do?
Hi, Sylvie. That's a great question. An exhibition manager basically oversees the museum's exhibitions. So they work with the curator, the exhibition designers, the graphic designers, the preparators. Those are the ones who install the exhibitions, and the visitor experience coordinator as well to organize and manage the development of the exhibitions.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm in 7th grade. What does a registrar do?
Hi, Jack. A museum registrar is mainly responsible for caring for the collection, and they implement the policies and the procedures contained in the museum's collections management policy. So they really focus on acquisitions, loans, exhibitions, deaccessions, the storage of the artwork, packing and shipping of the artwork, and the security of the objects in transit, and insurance policies, just making sure everything's insured and safe in the museum.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Molly and I'm in 5th grade. I was wondering, where did you go to school and what was your major?
Hi, Molly. I went to Marist College, that is in Poughkeepsie in New York, upstate. And I got my bachelor's in art history, and I'm working towards my master's at City College in museum studies and art history.
Thanks. I was also wondering, did you ever curate shows or help to curate shows during your schooling?
That's a really good question. I never did curate actual exhibitions, but for some of my projects and like end of the year, theses, I did have to create imaginary shows to kind of, get into the practice of curating exhibitions, which was kind of cool because you get to pick artwork from anywhere in the world and you don't have to think about, is it here? Is it close? Can I travel to get it? It's kind of like these imaginary shows that you put together. So you think of a theme and you put them together, and it was really fun. A little different than doing it in a real museum, but but really got you in the practice of doing it, which was cool.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Emma, and I was wondering, how old were you when you decided that you wanted to work with art?
Hi, Emma. I think I was about 12 when I decided I wanted to pursue a career in art and work at a museum. It was after my first trip to New York City Art Museum. My aunt took me to the Guggenheim, and I still have my ticket stub from that visit to the museum.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, it's Jack again. What made you become the exhibition manager and the registrar?
I actually started at the Heckscher as an intern many years ago now. At the time, I didn't have a job at a museum, and I was looking to continually build my knowledge of art and museums. So I contacted the curator at the time and asked her if she needed some help. And they did, and they had me come and volunteer at the museum for a while. And then shortly after that, I was hired on staff, and I was hired as the curatorial assistant. And I kind of just worked my way up from there. I was always interested in the curatorial department and the registrarial department. And I always loved getting to be hands-on with the artwork and being involved in the logistics and design of the exhibitions.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hafsa Merkian and I'm in 5th grade. I was wondering, who inspired you to work at an art museum?
It's a really interesting question. I think, looking back, it was really my aunt who took me to on that first trip to the art museum. That was, the first time I really thought about working at an art museum, and, that kind of put me on the path. So it was a really great experience.
Thank you. I was also wondering, when did you start working at the Heckscher Museum?
I started interning at the Heckscher in 2013. And then I started working full-time at the Heckscher later in 2013. And I've been working here ever since.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, it's Emma again, and I was wondering, who are some of the people that you work with?
Sure. Since the Heckscher is such a small museum, and has a kind of a small staff, we pretty much all work together on various projects and committees. But the person I work with most closely is our curator, Carly Wurzelbacher. She and I kind of work hand in hand on the exhibitions and anything involved with the permanent collection.
Thank you.
Hi, Molly again. I was wondering, where did you get the inspiration to help pick out the art for the galleries and exhibitions?
That's a really good question. Our curator, Carly, is really the one behind most of the exhibition ideas and themes, but I really help her to facilitate those plans by helping to choose the artwork, using my knowledge of the permanent collection, because I've been here for a while, and making sure that the artwork is in good condition to be exhibited in the museum.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hi, it's Sylvie again. How do you ensure that the artwork is safe when it's being transported?
That's a really good question. So depending on how far the artwork is traveling and by what method, the typical methods are usually by truck or by plane. The artwork must either be soft packed, which usually requires mainly bubble wrap and packing blankets and making sure it's secure, or the piece requires a crate, which is built from wood, and it's built specifically to fit one artwork in particular or a group of artworks. But we also consider the condition of the work of art. So if the artwork itself or the frame is too fragile to be soft packed, we have to consider that as well. And that in that case, it would be in a crate, regardless of how far it was traveling.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, my name is Alexander and I'm in 6th grade. I was wondering, how closely do you work with other museums?
It's a really good question. We work with other museums a lot, mainly on exhibitions, whether we're loaning artwork from our own collection to their exhibitions or borrowing artwork from their museums for our exhibitions at the Heckscher. But we also reach out to them for research and on our collection and various exhibitions and other information as well.
Thank you. I was also wondering, has the museum ever lost an artwork?
I thought about this for a while, not to my knowledge, and definitely not since I've been on staff. So I don't think so, which is good.
Hi, it's Hafsa again, and I was wondering, has any artwork been stolen from the museum?
That's a really good question too. Unfortunately, it did happen one time. In 1988, a small painting by Manet called Bouquet of Peonies was stolen from the museum when the museum was open to the public. The painting was on loan to the museum by an anonymous donor, and it was recovered undamaged, which is amazing. A few days later, it was actually found in the basement of an apartment building in Bayside, Queens.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, it's Alexander again. I was also wondering, since you're also an assistant curator, how do you decide which art goes where?
So Carly and I actually make scaled images, like small scale versions of all of the artwork that we want to put into an exhibition. And then we place them on scaled down versions of the museum gallery walls in order to, see how it spaces out and how it lays out and looks in the gallery. But then we also, during the installation of a show, we move things around a little bit depending on how they look. because, you know, in real life, it looks a little different than on the scaled images. So we think about it in both instances, before the show and during the installation.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Charlie and I'm in ninth grade. And my question is, what is your favorite part about being exhibition manager and registrar?
I think my favorite part is getting to be up close and personal with the artwork. I've always been fascinated with artist techniques and styles and how they really create the work of art. I also love being such a big part of the collection's care and preserving the art and history for future generations.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Emma again, and I was wondering, what is your least favorite part about being an exhibition manager and registrar?
I think the most challenging part is that most of our artwork is actually stored at an offsite location. So I can't be in two places at once, obviously. So I'm, you know, often traveling back and forth from our offsite location and the museum, and in order to keep an eye on everything. So that's pretty challenging.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, it's Sylvie again. Are there any other challenges to being a registrar?
I think that's the most challenging part. You know, it requires a lot of planning in order to keep an eye on everything at the museum and keep an eye on everything at the storage location, and just be, you know, aware of everything and making sure I manage my time at both places. So I think that's really the most challenging part.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's Charlie again. My next question is, what is your favorite exhibition you have ever put together?
This was a really hard question. I think that my favorite show I put together here at the Heckscher was in 2015, 2016. It was me and the curator worked hard on a show. It was called Modern Alchemy, Experimentation in Photography. It was mainly a loan exhibition, and the curator at the time and I worked together on picking all of the artwork and artists. And I really learned a lot during the planning of that show because I didn't have a lot of knowledge about photography before it. And it was really interesting to learn about the unconventional techniques that photographers were using in their work. For instance, one of my favorite works in the show was by an artist named Mariah Robertson. And the piece that we had of hers in the show was a long 100-foot roll of photographic paper that she would, wearing a hazmat suit and a breathing apparatus, she would use the photographic chemicals and she would spray them and kind of splash them onto the paper, creating these very abstract splashes and splatters and drips and patterns and various colors, as if she was kind of painting with those photographic chemicals onto the paper. And the long roll hung from kind of like the ceiling in the galleries, which was a really cool installation. And she actually came to the museum and helped install the work of art herself. So that was really fun too. It was great to meet her and see her install the work of art. And I think that was probably my favorite so far.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Jack again. What is your favorite artwork?
This is a really, really tough question for any person in art, I think. I've seen such amazing artwork in my life, but some of the most incredible artworks I have seen in person was when I was living abroad in Florence, Italy. And I had the opportunity to visit the Uffizi Gallery, which is the museum in Florence, several times, and see the work of Michelangelo and Botticelli and Leonardo da Vinci. And it was just a really unreal experience. But I don't think there's any one piece I can pick.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, it's Molly again. And I was wondering, do you have a favorite artist?
I do, and it's very typical and maybe a little cliche even. But my favorite artist is the post-impressionist Vincent van Gogh. He's always amazed me. He was such an influential figure in the history of art, and really truly paved the way for modern and contemporary art. And his use of color and really expressive brushwork was really revolutionary. And still I find it just truly incredible to this day.
Thanks.
One last question. Do you have a favorite type of art?
Well, building on that last question, some of my favorite movements in art history still are Impressionism and Post-Impressionism, just because they were such groundbreaking, like revolutionary moments in art. And the artists broke away from tradition in style and conventions and in exhibiting their art. And they created some of the most incredible pieces in the history of art. And it's always been, some of my favorite, artwork to see in person and really experience. And, it's timeless.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciated that you took the time to answer our questions. For those of you watching this video, we hope you enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look at the Heckscher Museum of Art. Make sure to check out more programs on heckscher.org.
Thank you for having me.